The switch to Wayland on Linux has unlocked a whole new way of building an environment. Now, most of what you're going to see is what you're generally familiar with on the desktop. But then there are funny little projects like this. Greenfield, an HTML5 Wayland Compositor. I don't know why I never talked about this. I knew about it when it was first being made, but yeah, this exists. Then you have things like Stardust XR, a VR, AR, whatever term you want to use, compositor. XR is like the catch-all term. Then there's been a whole lot of work in the vehicle space, like Kwin in a car. Also, very cool. But today, I want to talk about some compositors that aren't that at all. They're pretty normal desktop compositors in the grand scheme of things. Except, they're not desktop compositors on Linux, because did you know that there are some people out there making macOS Wayland compositors? You might think that this is some, like, really new, some really innovative thing, and I'm sure there's some dumb things happening in this space, but this is a lot older than you might expect. First up, we have a project called Owl. This is the portable Wayland compositor in Objective-C. Why in Objective-C? Why not? Owl is a portable Wayland compositor written in Objective-C using Cocoa as its backend. Cocoa is like a macOS rendering thing. Owl primarily targets Mac OS X, but also supports a variety of other operating systems thanks to GNU Step. Owl makes it possible to run Wayland clients inside OS X's native Quartz graphics environment. In that sense, Owl plays a similar role to XQuartz and X11 compatibility layers. Now, XQuartz is something that's been around for quite a while, so considering that there is Wayland on macOS, you're probably not surprised that there is X11 on macOS. Considering the way that most people tend to use macOS, it's pretty easy to forget that, yeah, it actually is a Unix system. It's actually verified as Unix. It is more Unix than Linux is. Now, would Linux be verified Unix if the process wasn't really expensive to do? I'm sure some distros certainly would be, but XQuartz has been around for a long time. It's basically like Wayland. It's a way to run X11 applications. Instead of running them on your Wayland desktop, you're running them on your macOS desktop. And the funny thing about this one is, together with supporting libraries and applications, it forms the X11.app that Apple shipped with OS X versions 10.5 through 10.7. This is something that Apple used to ship directly with their operating system. Now, at this point, you can still use X11 on a Mac. It's just, there's a bit more setup involved in doing so, and, you know, this is still part of that setup. But as I said, it is like X-Wayland on Wayland. Do keep in mind that you're still using a Mac, so you're not replacing your core compositing, your core windowing system with X11 or with Wayland, because I'm pretty sure that Apple doesn't give you that level of control over what the system can do. Now, the next project we have is considerably newer. This is called Waya by Eric Curtin, a Wayland compositor for macOS using Cocoa as its backend. This one started development, or at least started being committed to Git, about 2-ish weeks ago. The initial commit was... okay, it's just a license. Yeah, started development about 2-ish weeks ago. Waya, I'm gonna go with Waya. Waya. That is not pleasant to say. Is a full-featured Wayland compositor where each Wayland top-level service maps to a native macOS window. So every Wayland window maps to a macOS window. That's what it's saying. This allows running Linux/Wayland applications on macOS with native window management. So, again, very much like what you see from X-Wayland, where most of the time you're running X-Wayland with native Wayland windowing. Metal rendering, GPU-accelerated surface composition using Apple's Metal API. This is their graphics rendering pipeline, and I don't know how well this is going to work with everything, because obviously none of these applications on Linux were intended to work with Metal, but I don't see why it would be that difficult. Or maybe, I don't see why it would be impossible, we'll say. Maybe it's difficult. Full Wayland protocol support, so all of your general Wayland protocols that you would expect to see, keyboard support, high DPI support, all of the basic things that you'd expect to see there. And getting it up and running is actually very straightforward. If you have a Mac, you can just install it and then just make sure you have the environment variable set and just run it, which is cool. Now, the last one that I want to show you is the last one that at least I'm aware of, and possibly there are others out there, I just don't happen to know about them, so if you do know about them, let me know down below. But I actually heard about this one about a month or so ago. The reason why I didn't talk about it then is the developer hadn't made the repo public, so I didn't, it kind of was technically proprietary at that point. I didn't really feel like talking about it when there wasn't really much to say, so I just waited. And now the code does exist. This is a project, again, with a really annoying to pronounce name, Wona. I'm gonna assume Wona is the right one for this. A native macOS Wayland Compositor. This is very experimental. This is very far from production, but it's really cool, and the developer has some, let's just say, really big goals for it. And for some reason, even though this is for a Mac, the installation method involves using a Nix flake. I can't escape Nix no matter where I go. I use Nix to maintain a clean repository free of vendor dependency source code while ensuring hermetic, reproducible builds across all platforms. Nix allows us to define precise build environments for iOS, macOS, and Android without polluting your system. So, I mentioned big goals. Let's take a look at said goals. Wona aims to be the Wayland Compositor for macOS. It serves as the central hub for downstream patches and fixes for the entire Wayland ecosystem on macOS, including Wayland, Waypipe, and other core dependencies, with the ultimate goal of upstreaming these improvements. The vision, the definitive macOS Wayland experience, establish Wona as the standard proper Wayland Compositor for macOS, foster mass adoption and build a collaborative open source community, aspire for industry backing, Apple, Google, etc. as the project matures. 2. Cross-platform stability, deliver a stable, mature Wayland Compositor for macOS, iOS, and Android within the next 5 years. Ensure a shared, maintainable codebase across all 3 platforms. 3. Modern and forward-looking. No X11/X Wayland support. Strictly focus on forward-moving applications adopting native Wayland protocols. Because if you want to run X11, you can do just XQuartz. You don't need to do it here. Target modern OS versions and a clean codebase. Avoid vibe-coded hacks. Strive for professional-grade engineering. Now, a lot of the technical objectives are pretty straightforward, nothing too crazy. I want to go to the ecosystem and features section. Full protocol support. Support all Wayland protocols, core, wroot, KDE, etc. to ensure compatibility with a wide range of compositors and clients. Desktop environments enable support for the major desktops and compositors, Sway, Neri, GNOME Desktop, Plasma KDE, and FOSS from mobile Linux. So basically using this as a way to run these environments on top of macOS. Bundle Western. Bundle a natively compiled Western as a nested compositor for macOS, iOS, and Android, and native integration, deep integration into the macOS desktop environment. Now, do I think that some of these things are going to happen? Well, you probably would need, some of this stuff to happen first to make that viable, but, honestly, I respect having giant goals for a project and really wanting to see it succeed. Right now, it's just one guy working on the project, having some fun, but, yeah, this is cool. And honestly, just the fact that people are working on, this one's not been updated a while, but other people are working on Wayland compositors for macOS, I just think is neat, right? Maybe it's not something that the majority of people would ever use, but I like people doing cool things. So let me know your thoughts down below. And if you happen to have a Mac, let me know your experience using these. I don't have the money to buy a Mac. Or at least I have the money. I just don't want to buy a Mac because I don't want to spend the money on a Mac because I have other things I'd rather spend that money on than I actually use. But, yeah. I think this is cool. I like cool people doing cool things, and that's always cool. So, let me know your thoughts down below. If you liked the video, go like the video. If you really liked the video and you want to become one of these amazing people over here, check out the Patreon, subscribe to Daily Bearer Pay, linked in the description down below. That's gonna be it for me, and that's cool.
Something like this.